everybody, my name is Sherry. Welcome to my stamp studio. I have a bit of a scratchy throat this morning, so apologize for that. Hopefully the longer I talk, the more it will go away. That's what happens when you work from home and you only speak to your cats. I should have had longer conversations with them. My husband leaves early, so I have 1 or 2 sentence conversations with him most mornings and then tell him goodbye. So it's not quite enough to get the scratchy out. But hopefully it's just allergies. Cross my fingers, right? My daughter had strep, but that was before we went to Mexico. But she was back in we had to take her to the hospital this week. So I'm just praying that I didn't pick up any hospital cooties while we were there for hours upon hours. So today I'm going to continue the new series that I've started. So in this series, I will be focusing on, my goal is to get to all of them. We'll see if that happens, because sometimes, life happens or Stampin' Up! Gives us new stuff that we weren't expecting. But I set the goal to try to show you all of the new papers that are in the catalog. And with those, at least 2 samples. One, if there's a stamp set that is included and I have it, then I'll use the bundle, and then something completely different. So before I get going on today's card, I want to remind you that you have through the 15th to purchase the Thoughtful Journey Suite, and I will make a little return to it. I already have a couple of cards, as you can see, with that paper, but they use the bundle, so I'll try to switch it up and use something else in the other one. But you can get a free class. It's an online class. I'll mail you this stuff completely free. So details about that are on my website. Then today we are going to go back to the Full of Life paper. So the funny thing is this paper, the card in the series, the whole idea was kind of inspired because this is about 1/3 of the stack of scraps that I already have from the Full of Life paper. And I'm like, I have to find a way to use these. So that was how I did this card. And then after today's card, I have this scrap to add to. And after I make it again, I'll have 2 of them. So it's, if you like paper, then it's a never-ending little stack of scraps that you end up with. But these, because of the way the paper is designed, it's super easy to use it up. If you didn't catch this tutorial, go watch it, because there's no ink pads. Well, a Versamark. But I did the lazy way of coloring those with no ink pads on my table. So that is the first card in the series. The last card, I will use the bundle. I do have the bundle. It's just downstairs where we're cutting for my Try It class. Today, I'm going to use Sweet Peas, because when I first saw this stamp set, both my daughter and I love this set. It was on our first orders, both of us. So sweet, so cute. Love all of the play on the word peas in those sentiments. But then when you see the green paper, it's like obvious, isn't it, that you have to use this stamp set with the green paper. So it's a quick and easy little card. So again, the other card just used white cardstock. So I have some white cardstock, and then I pulled out this sheet of paper. If you want to see more of the papers, go watch the other video, because I did show you in that. So let's stamp first. It's a little bit like, what order do I go in? Because when you're creating a card, you don't necessarily go in the best order, because you're not sure what it's going to look like. And I'm going to use different stamps. So I really wanted to use the birthday stamp, but it doesn't fit in my Spotlight on Nature. Is that what they're called? I think Spotlight on Nature dies. So these little guys have to fit in my die. So we'll have to come back and stamp the sentiment. So I just pulled out this. Actually, let's go ahead and cut it first. That way we can stamp the other stuff as well. So what you need to do to cut this, I have the Spotlight in Nature dies. So here's the ones I'm not using. It's a great die set. So even if you don't want the stamps, you'll want to get the dies, because you'll use these over and over and over, because they're just all kinds of graduated circles. So this little guy is going to go in here. It's not going to fit perfectly, but it will be fine. We'll make it work. And then I'm going to take this piece of paper, and I'm going to cut it with, this is the largest of the dies. I'm going to put it in here and do this first, and then trim down around it. That way I can get the part of the, I don't know, what's that called? Starburst in the right part of the die. So let's cut that one first. So I'm going to stick this in here. And I want more green than I want blue, but I do want some of the blue because I want it to kind of look like there's a sky. So I'm going to put it about right there. As long as you have this somewhere in your circle, you'll be okay. So you could cut it first if you want to, but I worked with it this way. That way it gave me a little bit of some options when I went to cut it and put it on my card. So we have this one, just one pass through. These work super easy. So here is the panel that we need, and then we are going to use this, thus we will end up with another scrap piece of paper. And then let's do these little guys. And like I said, they're not going to fit. I could skip up a size of circle, but what happens if you do that is then you lose the seeing so much of the starburst behind them, and I'd rather see that and lose a little bit of the twisty on here. So we can go that way. I'm gonna lose a little bit of stem, and then the part that's under here will be in there, so I'm gonna go this way. You get more of that, and then just run this one through. Just one pass on it as well. Okay, now we can color this in. So pop this little guy out. I went with there's one that has like dots and dashes, and one that's kind of got a Scandinavian little print thing in it. All right, so let's color this in. And like I said, this isn't all my greens. It's a lot of them though. So I just pulled a bunch of greens, and then I have a Pool Party and a Balmy Blue, both in the light. Because here's the paper. It's got all the greens and a bunch of blues. So here's the Pool Party and Balmy Blue. And then Misty Moonlight, I'm not sure what that one is. So I'm going to start with my brush tip of my Pool Party. As long as you have blends, then you have all the colors of cardstocks that you have blends in. So I'm just going to kind of add a little base coat of Pool Party. And whenever you're coloring a large swath of color, the brush tip works faster. And if you put it kind of on its side and just brush along. So here's some Pool Party. I'm going to get some of it so it's a little bit darker. Which with a blend, you can use the dark and the light, or you can just keep coloring over and get it a little bit darker there. And then let's get our Balmy Blue. Because these are not solid colors. See how they have the swatches of colors? At first I tried, because you can get it if you're trying to get this to look like a sheet of cardstock, you can keep coloring it and it all smooths and blends out and is the color. But I wanted it to match more of this. And it's got different colors going through it. A little bit of this a little darker. And then just blend it again with, you always want to blend with your lightest color that you're using. So go back to the Pool Party. Just blend this a little bit. There we go. So now they're not on a nice background and they'll match the paper nicely. So then to color my peas, I wanted the little pea guys to stand out. So I went with more a traditional, what I consider probably a canned pea. I mean, we're growing peas and sometimes they tend to be brighter, but I went with canned pea look because, you know, they're kind of olive. So let's pull these over here. And I haven't decided because I'm using a different stamp. On the other one, I have the baby, so there's just one pea. Let's start with Lemon Lime Twist. I want them to be a little bit different colors. Let's put some bright in the middle. And then from there, I'll kind of switch it up how I do them. So then I have, let's do Dark Granny Apple Green. I'm just going to pick up colors. And then then let's do olive. I'm going to do light olive first. I don't want them to get too dark. So when you want a little less, a little more control, then switch to your bullet tip. I think olive is really the color of a canned pea. That'd be a name that Stampin' Up! Could come with, right? Canned pea green. Except they have to start with the same. When they name a color, just while I'm coloring here, it has to have, obviously, first, all the letters have to start with this. I mean, all the words have to start with the same letter. So that's the first thing. But then not only does it all have to start with the same letter, you have to switch it over to all of the languages that we have a market in. And those all have to also be able to, whatever the word is. So Old Olive, the Old Olive has to also translate into another language with both the letters the same. So it's a little bit of a process, although I would love the job. Now let's go a little bit of dark. This is a little boy pea, or at least in my mind on this card it is. And then let's go back to our lemon lime twist in light, the lightest color, and we'll blend this in. Okay, those look cute. Now I'm going to kind of switch to some of these colors here to color the pea pod. So let's pull over spruce, and I think it's shamrock. Yes. So I'm going to add my dark spruce first. See, most of the design ended up on the card. Sometimes it's deceiving when you lay a die over the top, or on the card, on the stamp. Then let's do some dark shamrock. I'm not sure that shamrock is in the paper, but it's a green, right? And I also wanted to be able to use the shamrock ribbon. So I wanted to make sure that I had some shamrock on the card. This is my spruce. And then let's do the light shamrock. So there we go. And then on the other one, I used the Wink of Stella. Where'd I put it? And I just did the pod. I didn't do the peas. So just the outside got a little bit of sparkle to it. I didn't want too much. And I'm not going to do the little stem. I'm just going to keep it simple so it's a highlight. And then I'm going to grab my Stella and color in my white heart. It's a good way to keep things white on your card. If you want it to look like it was stamped on Pool Party or Balmy Blue, just color it, and then the pieces that you want to stay white, because I could have done this on Pool Party, but then the highlights in those would be whichever blue I went with, as would my heart, and I didn't want that. So now let's put this together. So we're going to need your paper trimmer. I have a half a sheet of white. And then what you need to do is take your piece of paper here, and you want to decide how best to put it on here, because see, look, if you do this, it's not going to fit on here, so you're going to have to trim it, and it all depends on where you put that. That's why you could cut it first if you wanted to, but I wanted to be able to work with as many colors and to be able to decide which colors I wanted. So I can go this way, or so I think I'm going to do just cut a fraction off of this because it's almost on the card. And you can see that's what I did on my other card too. I still have the remnants. So just a little fraction. And then it's 4 1/4 because I'm going to cover the whole thing. So that is good now. You can see that my circle is going to stay on my card. If part of it goes off, you could just cut it so it's the other piece matches. So now this is 4 1/4. So the large circle just fits on the card. And then this needs to be 5 1/2 instead of 6, because this is a 6 by 6 paper pack. And I want to lose the blues, not this green down here. So 5 1/2. And now I have more scrap papers. And normally I would throw these away, except I used this. If you watched the other video, I needed a little strip, and that's got a lot of color. Even though it's super tiny, this definitely has some use. Now I'm going to put this on here, and again, we need to decide how we want to do this. So this is going to go on here. This is going to go on my other one. I matched it back up, but you don't have to. But if you want to, you need to decide if that's how you want it to go. I kind of like it this way. So before I glue it all together, I am going to stamp my words, because if I mess up, then I could stamp them on the back of this or the front of this and cover it up. Because, you know, sometimes when you stamp your words, you'll lose a letter or something. So I'm going to use my black, and this one is the You Make Me Happy. So let's try not to mess up the words. Need to put it right down here at the bottom. Perfect. Sometimes you feel like you know what you're doing and you get a little cocky, and then the next time you stamp something, it's like, well, I don't know how to stamp after all. So I'm going to take my ribbon. There's not a whole lot of room left on the card for other things, but I did want some ribbon. So I went with the Shamrock. This is one of the new ribbons. So I'll tie a tiny little bow. I want it as little as I can get it with still looking bowish. And then we're just going to put it right over the top of this. I'm going to use my Seal Plus to adhere this right here to the front first, because I just want enough to hold this right here. And then decide this way it looks prettier. Sometimes one side of your bow looks better than the other. But now I'm going to switch to my seal, even though my preference would be Seal Plus to hold this on here. But we need to make sure that if we don't get this straight on the card, it's easier to move than what the Seal Plus would allow. So fold this over, and then just make sure that you haven't covered up your saying. On the other one, I put a little bit of adhesive right here because it was very close. That way I could control it, make sure it went up. So grab this, and then I think the easiest way to do this is kind of hold this up and just start with this lined up down here. And then just kind of let it fall gently, but don't press it, because then if you need to move it, it hasn't stuck itself all the way down. There we go. Isn't that fun? Now we'll put this in, and I'm going to do this first because I want to be able to match it up. But I want it to be popped so it's obvious that there's a difference. Let's grab our... I've used so many dimensionals. I have dimensional backs everywhere. I hate it. I hate that I'll go to the hairdressers this afternoon and there will be a back. And look, there's a back on here, and so this one's not sticking because there's already one stuck to. Sometimes I use more than others, and I can tell this is the dimensional using weak. So we're going to put this on here, and then you just need to line this up. Either do it obvious or not obvious. You don't want it to just be a little bit off, because that'll make your card look crooked. So I'm going to pick this blue one and then make sure the green up at the top. There we go. And then I'm going to pop these guys up as well. See what I mean? How many dimensionals did I just use on the one card? Don't you love how the background of this kind of just blends right in with those? And you can do that with the blend. I'm going to darken up my piece just a little bit. Let's get our light olive. A little bit too much white space on him. Sometimes I have to force myself to stop because I like coloring so much that I could just keep coloring forever. And then we have lots of brand new embellishments that are fabulous, right? Most of mine are downstairs because that's where I cut for my classes. So I was going to go down and get them, but we have these and I think they're back in stock. They went out of stock before we could even order them, really, because demonstrators bought them all. The adhesive back shiny sequins, they go with the Xenia suite, so they're an online exclusive. And I would have used them when we did Xenias in Card Club, but they were already gone before I could even order them. And I ordered those the first day stuff is available. So I know that they were gone immediately. So a lot of you missed them, but they are back. So I thought, well, I should use these because even though they're not new, they're new. And the fun thing is you can use the green, but you can also use this yellow if you want. You can almost use this color over here too, but I'm going to stick with my green theme. But depending on who you're giving the card to, if they, like if one of their colors is a favorite color, you could use, I'm going to use a lot because I want this card. It's simple. So, but not, I mean, I wouldn't call it simple. It's not a clean and simple card, but it's simple. So there's plenty of space on here to put the embellishments. And yes, I have my Take My Pick sitting right here. I don't know why I'm using my scissors. So let's do 3 of the big ones. And then let's do 4 of the little ones. There's 2 sizes. I'm not gonna, on the other one I have one on here, but I don't want it to compete with the heart. I want the heart to kind of make sure that it gets noticed. So there's 4, I think I did 7 on my other one. This one, because there's 2 P's, there's a little bit more on the card. So let's just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd have to do 7. You guys are probably counting while I was talking and thinking I was crazy. The other ones I put more down here, but again, because it's a different design, then I have to think. It's not as easy as when I just make one card. So here are the You Make Me Happies. The first card I did was Welcome Sweet Pea. Then let's take a quick look now that you have seen the peas in all their green glory. Isn't that just, it's a fun card. It's a happy card. So we have Hello Grumpy. I would really like to give this to my husband. I should just make it up. So on days when, you know, men of a certain age get a certain attitude, we could just give it to them. We have Happy Birthday. So you can have the whole little group here or the single guy. And you have lots of the pea pods or pea. It looks just like my garden right now because we have peas growing, but the peas. So we have You Make Me Happy, Hello Grumpy, Welcome Sweet Pea, and Happy Birthday. So super cute little set, and it works so well with this paper. So we have taken our little peas, and then we have, I have to leave this there for a second because if you follow me on Instagram, I have to have an end shot. So Instagram will end here, but I want to show you completely different card, and then the next time you come back I will do this suite with the bundle the bundle is amazing. The way those dies cut out, super cool. So there you go. I hope you're enjoying this series, and if there's a paper that you want to see in case I get distracted in the middle of summer or, you know, life happens and I don't get them all, I'm happy to do a paper that y'all want to see. So let me know. Have a great one. Bye.